On today's show, it's head coach of the Belleville Senators, Dave Bell.
Bellzy reflects on last season and tells us about some of the prospects in dev camp.
This is Brady Kachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome! You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Today is Monday, July 28th, and Bellzy. We had competitive hockey yesterday. Logan Hensler making his debut as a Sens prospect, and it's the World Juniors Summer Showcase.
Yeah, I mean, we're at that point in the calendar, Ross, where we start moving the goalposts. Okay, competitive hockey, World Juniors Summer Showcase, but hey, it's something.
It is something, and there's very little that we're going to be taking away from it, but if you're curious with how Logan Hensler looks, our good friend Eric on Twitter, it's a me, Eric, great handle. He did a shift-by-shift clips of all of Hensler's puck touches, so you can go check that out. The only thing that really pops out to me is that guy can skate. Very smooth ability with the puck, without the puck. His pivots look sharp. It's summer hockey. Gabe Eliasson expected to play in the next few days. He was not in Sweden's lineup. They brought about 30 kids. It's an event where they'll play multiple games. So Eliasson will get in there. And if you're curious about either of those guys, they're both on the show last week.
Yeah, it's always great to catch up with prospects during the summer, especially the young guys that still have an opportunity to play in the World Juniors. Hopefully, Ross, we get a couple more Sens prospects at the World Juniors tournament this year than we had last year. Just Vladimir Nikitin. No, even though the tournament was in Ottawa. So yeah, a little more Sens representation would be great.
Well, Logan Hensler, of course, gold medalist.
Yeah, I mean, at that time, he was not a Sens prospect.
I know. Well, hey, speaking of all the prospects we've had on the show, it's great to get to know them, but we've got an adult on today's show for the first time.
And it's neither of us.
No. We don't count. But Dave Bell is a great friend of the show, and always love catching up with him because Belleville, they could be a sneaky wagon down in the AHL this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of interesting storylines for the Belleville Senators. Some youth down there for sure when you look at the back end and you look at some of the prospects that are going to be elevating their game. And they brought in some major talent like Oli Lixell, Arthur Kaliev. Those two guys expected to spend at least most of the year down in Belleville. Lassie Thompson returning. We'll see how the goaltending shakes out. So yeah, a lot of interesting storylines for Belleville. And yeah, Coach Bellzy is just one of those guys, Ross, where again, if we could record our pre and post chats with Bellzy, they would be some of our greatest content because he's an all-time guy. Ross, you said, and this is a quote I remember, he had you laughing the hardest you ever laughed sitting in that chair. So
I think I can share that story because it was way back.
Yeah, we don't have to say names. We could just.
No, we were talking about how some players might be more difficult to coach than others. And no, it's not the story about who fell asleep in a team meeting. This is 20 years ago. And he said one of his players on their emergency contact list didn't fill out the answer. So he had to go up to them after the show or after the meeting and say, hey, you didn't put anybody. Who should we put for your emergency contact? And he looked at him like he had two heads and said, 911.
Which is an unusual answer because normally it's like your spouse, your mom, your brother, something like that. But that is the right answer. Like if I break my leg, don't call my parents first. Get an ambulance over here. So actually, that's smart. That guy's ahead of his time.
Call 911 in case of emergency. For the name, just put, please help me.
Ouch.
Amazing. Speaking of which, let's start the interview with a bit of our preamble because Dave Bell's the best. So let's get to it right now. This is our interview with head coach of the Belleville Senators, Dave Bell.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, summer vacation, it's easy to lose track, but that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Guys, Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's so much more. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So stop just managing your money, start building that wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, just use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, and even plan your long-term goals. And managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals together, and stay on the same page without all that stress. So what are you waiting for? Take control of your finances with Monarch Money now. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year.
Today's episode is also brought to you by the GLEBE Central Pub. Right in the heart of the Glebe, it's your neighborhood pub with great food, awesome drinks, and an atmosphere to match. It's also walking distance from Lansdowne, just a couple blocks away. So this Thursday, make sure to go there, either before or after the Ottawa Red Blacks host the Calgary Stampeders. Now, I can already hear some of the sighs. The Red Blacks are not having a great season, but it's a social event, and you can start it off early at 779 Bank Street and let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. I'm going to be in Ottawa in the next couple of weeks, and I will be stopping by the GLEBE Central Pub. Why? Because I know that I'm going to be well taken care of, and because they have different events almost every night of the week. Wing night goes every Monday, all day and all night. Trivia night on Tuesday, so bring your crew and put that knowledge to the test. On Wednesdays, it's open mic night, so whether you want to kick back and listen or jump up on stage to sing or play, you can do that on Hump Day. Thursdays, all about cheap tacos. And of course, Saturday night, live music with no cover ever. And hey, we're counting down the days until we get to go on Thursday for before or after the Ottawa Red Blacks. So whatever you're into, we got something for you at the GLEBE Central Pub. Make it your home base because, as you know, the vibes are free at the GCP.
Stevie Halliday, on his first recall to the NHL, was about to leave Utica, New York, wearing Ohio State running shoes and a hoodie. I had to stop him. I'm like, man, you're going to the NHL. Like, get this stuff off.
All right, pleased to be joined now for the fourth time. One of our favorite recurring guests. It's the head coach of the Belleville Senators, Dave Bell. Bellzy, what's up, man? How's your summer going?
Summer's going good. Fourth time seems like a long time. I think the chain's running out there. Four times the charm. Is that what it is?
Yeah, well, 4. Is that more than you have players left from when you took over the gig in Belleville?
Oh, that's a trick question. I bet you it is. I bet you it is for sure.
Yeah, the final real turnover this summer with Cole Reinhardt, Angus Crookshank moving on. Although you get Lassie Thompson back, who I think
that's a redo, so that adds up. Yeah, so it should be around 4. Actually, I'd have to look at the roster.
Yeah. So how does your preparation change after a summer like this, where you've got quite a few new weapons down there?
It doesn't change a lot because we really piggyback off of what Travis is going to do up top. So systematically, follow him. Actually, have a Zoom with him in the next couple of weeks to go over the systematic stuff, and then kind of for us, it's unique, and we've talked about it all the time. I can't even put together power play units or penalty kill units because I don't know who's going to be on our team. Like last year, I got all excited. Adam Gaudette had 46 goals in the American League. Oh, he's going to go here, and Halliday's going to feed him all year, and never saw him for a game. So kind of just it's put everything in place and see who trickles down here and then change it as we go.
Like you mentioned, it's kind of tough to get ahead of yourself at this point of the offseason with so many changes possibly happening. But as a head coach, like I imagine you're always thinking and cooking up stuff. Do you allow yourself to have a full kind of shut down, shut off break in the offseason, or is it just endless and you can't even help it?
I go into the rink almost every day, and I play with the magnets on my board every day and change lines. And okay, if this guy's called up, what do the lines look like? If this guy makes the team, what's the lines look like? And I'm always thinking, and my wife usually, if I have a bad night's sleep, she'll be like, "What was it? Was it hockey or was it the kids?" And I'm like, "Oh, it was hockey." I was thinking about if this guy comes. So, but no, actually. We're going away as a family here shortly, and there will be no hockey talk on that week to just reboot the brain.
How do you look back at last season? You guys were still in the fight for the playoffs towards the end. So many key call-ups. You look at Leevi spending a bunch of time up in Ottawa. Mads getting hurt right off the bat. Like, how do you reflect on how last season went for your squad?
Well, probably right away I say disappointed because we didn't make the playoffs and build off the momentum from not making the playoffs. But in the grand scheme of things, in the big picture, with the big team making the playoffs, and that's ultimately our goal is to help them make the playoffs. And like you just said, I think some guys that played down here had some integral pieces. Like they were big parts of them making the playoffs. Levy's record up there, guys going up and contributing. Cole Reinhardt playing a lot of games, and even as weird as this, Zach Ostapchuk going up there, showing that he's an NHLer, making a big asset for them to go out and make a trade for a guy at the deadline. So it was rewarding that we contributed to the success of the big club, but disappointed we didn't get our team into the playoffs.
Sticking on that theme, we talked about Leevi there for a second. How do you manage when a guy starts here in Belleville and then gets called up to the NHL and is just lights out and is really performing at a high level in the NHL and then is sent back down for not performative reasons or anything like that? That's just kind of the way things went for Leevi. How do you manage when he comes back down, being like keeping him hungry in the AHL when maybe in his mind he's like, oh, I'm a little disappointed to be here. Like Leevi Merilainen got sent down after a 6-0 win. So how do you keep him motivated when he's back in Belleville, even though maybe in his mind, he's like, I should still be in the NHL?
Well, it's tricky to answer that question because if you were to ask me that question as a generality, it's tough for guys. You usually have to bring them in and talk to them. And sometimes you got to give them a kick in the ass and tell them they still got to work. Now you're asking me specifically about Leevi. There was zero maintenance, zero conversations. I'll tell you the story about Leevi. He got sent down after that. He's at practice. We have 3 goalies, and Justin Peters told me, hey, he just played, let's monitor his workload this week in practice, let him rejuvenate a little bit and get back. And so I didn't have Leevi in the net in a drill in practice right after he got sent down, and he skated over to me and whacked me and said, why not shots on me? I said, well, I'm just giving you a little rest. I want shots. So I had to pull, I don't know who it was, Subban or whoever out of the net and put Leevi back in the net because he just wanted to get right back in the net. Like this kid, his mentality is he could be playing at Madison Square Garden or he could be playing in Belleville on a Wednesday night. He's the same person, the same goalie. It's awesome. Like there's zero maintenance to do with Leevi Merilainen. He's just a motivated, dialed-in kid.
And with that, did you know that from day one with him? Because he jumped into the AHL and was 3-0 at the end of that season where he started in Finland. Did you know right away you had somebody special in him?
Well, goalies are all weird. So, when you first meet him, you're like, is this guy weird? He just doesn't talk. He just shows no emotion. But then you get to know him. He's super competitive, super emotional, but then you just know. Leevi knows what he needs to do. Leevi knows if he played good or bad. He knows if it's a bad goal or what, and he just stays so even keel. That's just his personality, and I think that makes a great goalie and a great pro, but especially a goalie. Like he's like you watch this kid compete in practice. It's not like when people are you surprised or surprised. I am not surprised one bit at the success that Levy's going to have and has had.
Speaking of great pros, this year you had the opportunity to have a guy inserted into your roster with over 1,000 NHL games midway through the season in Sam Gagner. Like, what was it like getting him on this team? Like, I almost feel like he was kind of a player coach type situation, but he still performed. That guy was dishing it out, even in the short sample size he was there.
You know what? It was awesome for us, and I think for him too, to kind of make that last step in the closure of an unbelievable career. But for me, there was a little bit of maintenance to it because guys were in awe of him, guys that had watched him on TV, and again, I'll say Stephen Halliday, watching him in practice, and Stephen misses his rep in practice because he's watching Sam Gagner go the other way, finish his rep, and he's oohing and awing at what Sam's doing. But for me, it was a blessing because I think it was the very first day that Sam skated with us. He kept 3 or 4 guys out on the ice and talked to them about face-offs and talked to them about, power play spots and how to move. And you just watch that and you're like, okay, I know where this guy's going with his next move in his hockey career. And sure enough, obviously the Sens were fortunate enough to sign him on as a director of player development. So he's going to be great in that role. And probably 15 minutes into the first practice I had with him, I knew, he's got that coaching in him, and he instinctively and naturally just started helping guys. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's great, man. We were excited to see the news that he was going to transfer into a front office role or a player development, more on ice actually. And it sounds like he's going to be working a lot in Belleville with you guys. And a player who he's brought up in multiple interviews since taking the job is Stephen Halliday. What do you think Stephen needs to become a full-time NHLer after leading your team in points last year?
Well, he's figured out the American League, and I actually, in my conversation with him yesterday, it's just he's got to get. When I say meaner, I don't mean hitting and fighting and stuff. NHL defensemen close quicker, they're heavier, they have better sticks than guys in the American League. So he's got to relearn where he can find space, where he can find time, and you know what? Those 50-50 battles for pucks, whether it's on an edge battle on a face-off or a 50-50 puck in the corner, a rebound, if he can get a little bit more tenacity, a little bit more aggressive in getting those pucks in those dirty areas, his skill set, when he does have time and space, will shine. But like I said to him, you got to get the puck first. And it's harder to get the puck in the NHL than it is in the American League. So just explosiveness and grittiness to get pucks and win dirty pucks is but he's having a good summer. He's working hard. He's working with Matty Nickel down in Toronto, and he's skating with a bunch of pros. So that's going to help him. From skating with his college buddies to skating with NHL pros all summer, that's going to be a big difference for him.
What college did he go to?
I don't know. Just look at any picture of him with his Ohio State hoodie and running shoes and backpack and everything else. Their swag department there gets top marks for outfitting their athletes. Oh, my gosh. No wonder the budgets are so high in university.
Yeah, seriously. Hey, he's just going into the football locker room. Yeah, I'll take that. I'm surprised. Hey, you want grit? I'm surprised he's not going to show up at practice in training camp with a Ohio State football helmet on. Be like, you want grit?
He blocked his first shot, and he wanted me to put a Buckeye sticker on his helmet. Like football guys.
Love that. Now, hey, on a serious note with that, you did point out like grit, winning 50-50 battles is a part of that, and the transition from being a top line, and he's always been a scorer. I think he holds records in the USHL for offense. And is there a part where it's like, we're training you right now to get your foot in the door in the NHL? You're probably going to have to start in a bottom 6 role. Like, how much of that is like keeping what he's already good at, but then adding in that versatility where, hey, we can plug you in as a 4th line center and you won't miss a beat?
He understands that, and you know what? He took some really, really big steps this year where last year for sure, like the first year he came in the playoffs and that, there was no chance I was going to put him on the ice to protect the lead or, against the top line. And this year, as the season went on, he relished that. Like I wouldn't say he wanted it more than a power play, but like he's looking over his shoulder when their goalie's out. He wanted to be out there in the defensive zone. And when he blocked shots, he got more excited to block a shot in the last minute of a game when the goalie was out. He'd come to the bench and he would high-five Steph Legion and make sure, did you see that, coach? Did you see that, coach? Like, he got more excited about building out his defensive side of his game than he still got super excited when he scored, which he should, but he recognizes that he needed that part of his game and he embraced it, and it was awesome to watch. And he actually got, his instincts to read the game are elite. So in the defensive zone, he's thinking what those guys are going to do offensively. And he broke up a lot of good plays. And like I said, he grew the courage to stand in lanes and block shots, and that's going to help him make the NHL.
He wants those Buckeye stickers.
Yes, sir.
Bellzy, we've been talking to a lot of the prospects, and we like to ask them, hey, at Dev Camp, who's someone that you really notice on the ice? And I think pretty much every single player we talked to said Oscar Pettersson. I mean, this guy is a true pro. He's got the size. He's got a heavy shot. Jackson Parsons said he's got a heavy shot, and he wins the hardest worker at Dev Camp. What can you tell us about the way that you've seen Oscar Pettersson grow and develop since he first got here from Sweden?
Well, first of all, talk about grow. The man's legs are the size of my whole body. He's built like a tank. Like, he's humongous. His legs are huge, and no wonder you got hardest worker. I think I always say, guys ask me, who makes it the biggest, the strongest, or whatever, and I say, no, probably the biggest attribute guys have to have is their self-evaluation of themselves, and he's elite at that. He's a guy that knows his limitations, knows what he's good at, embraces that. And like, even this year, he went from wing to center, and because he thought he could get more ice time as a center and maybe defensively as a center, get him on the penalty kill more as a right shot center. And he understood that and he worked at it, but he knows he's not going to get a ton of power play time, and he's okay with that. So he super dials in on the penalty kill. He knows he wants to be out there in a checking role and get momentum. Like, he wanted to get goals, and I think he ended up this year with 9, and he had a couple games where he missed some grade A chances, and he was so upset that he didn't get to 10, but he was okay with having just 10 goals. He knows he's not going to make the NHL as a goal scorer. So, like, again, he gets mad if he doesn't get a puck out more than he gets mad he didn't score that 10th goal, because he knows that's what's going to get him to the NHL. So those guys usually figure out a way to make it. They don't jump off the page at training camp for doing anything flashy, but as the longer the coach watches them and sees them get pucks out, sees them manage the puck right, get over the red line before he gets it in, whatever, coaches value those. But you go watch a scrimmage in NHL training camp, he's probably not jumping off the page with doing something flashy, outside of watching how hard he works every shift. But I think, he's been in the organization a couple years now. He's been in the American League a little bit now. He's been to a couple training camps. So I think he's going to really push this year, to get a call up to show Travis that he's a trustworthy guy that can give him some minutes in the bottom 6.
And I just want to follow up on that quickly, Ross.
Course.
It's not that often that you have to go to a player and approach them about changing positions, right? Like, typically guys have their position. That's where they're going to play. So when you're looking at your center depth and you're thinking, okay, we need to work on something here, how does that discussion go? Like, is that something that you and the coaches kind of get together and are like, all right, all our wingers, who do we think can move to the wing? Who do we think can effectively do this? Like, is it like a really kind of long-term thought out plan, or is it even just something as casual at practice, just going up to Oscar and being like, hey, what do you think about playing center? Because when we talked to him, he's like, I haven't played center in a long time. So to go from wing to center in the pros, like, that's got to be a little intimidating. So what is that process like?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. Like, it's a little bit of like moving those magnets around and planning scenarios, and then just skating up to him at practice and be exactly that. Like, hey man, you ever thought about playing center? I might need you to play center this weekend. And I haven't done it. And then he'll stay after practice and do it, come in and do a little bit of video with guys, and then just to get the feedback from him after the game, like, hey, what'd you think? I wasn't very good here or there. It's a lot different. But Oscar, again, he embraced it, did a whack of video to understand the routes, and he asks a lot of questions. If you ask me who asks the most questions on our hockey team, it's Oscar Pettersson by a mile. So, which is a good thing. He wants to know. But yeah, it was kind of just a little bit of both. I knew we needed some centers. Garrett Pilon had a little bit of a wrist injury that was bugging him. Highmore was up. Gaudette was up. We just lost. Stopchuk was up. So actually Angus had to play a little bit center, and so did Petey. And it worked out for both of them because they got more ice time. So it gives them a better chance of, hey, I need a winger. They're both available. I need a centerman. They're both available. So I don't think when you frame it as in, hey, it's an opportunity to get more ice time, not very many guys are going to turn that down. So worked out.
Yeah, we're excited to see Oscar. We call him Pistol Pete because I know you said he's not going to be known for his goal scoring at the next level, but man, he could rip it in junior hockey over in Sweden. I think he had a goal a game in his last year down there. So we're excited to see how he can develop here. And it looks like these young kids that you've been developing are now seemingly ready to take the next step. One of those guys who I know that you were very fond of, even from the beginning, from the first time we had you on, another big left shot defenseman, just like yourself back in the day. How rewarding is it to see a guy like Tyler Kleven, who got rewarded with a multi-year NHL contract after coming through your system as the coach and the guy who helped him get there?
I love it. I love it with all those guys. Like all those guys, like Ridley got rewarded. He got rewarded. And even, Angus and Cole in a different organization, but those guys get rewarded and they get a nice paycheck for all their grinding. But for Klev, you knew it was there. You talked to him. You saw the big hits at North Dakota. You saw the nastiness, and it just took him a little while. And it's not a fighting thing. I think that was a problem, not a problem, but a mental breakthrough for him that he thought if he had those big hits, he had to always, answer the bell to fight. And he figured out that isn't the case. He can play physical and it doesn't have to always have that fight after the big hit. And I think he had a few big hits. He played with some confidence. He got more minutes. And I always say it, confidence is a powerful thing. And he got his confidence in the NHL. So he played a little more free, didn't mind stepping up on guys, and now he's an established NHLer that's real hard to play against. I thought his playoffs was a coming out party for him, and just big, bright future for the big man.
Man, he even had Mark Messier gushing over him during the playoffs at an intermission on ESPN. So that's definitely a good sign. You probably like him to fight someone not named Adam Lowry for his first NHL fight, though.
Yeah, but if you're going to go big, right? So
that's a big boy.
Nothing to lose on that one. I know you guys have the Winnipeg, the little bit of a background to Winnipeg, but Adam Lowry is a big, strong man, so nothing to lose in that one. But he gets it. I love the way Klev plays, and I don't want to call him a predator because you're not allowed to be a predator out there, but he looks to get guys and make them not able to finish the game. Let's say that.
Pills was sitting at the glass for that fight.
Yeah, I was right at the glass in that corner for that fight. And I knew Adam Lowry was a big guy, but when he handled Kleven like that, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, he's a big.
That's also, again, one of my going off topic there. Like, that's probably Lowry's 25th fight as a pro, where
easily.
Yeah.
Klev didn't do it in college. You're not allowed to do it in college. So that's a tough ask for a kid. And that takes a lot of courage to learn on the fly against full-grown men and a full-grown man like Lowry with the experience. That takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, he showed a lot of courage in the playoffs too. And that reverse hit was so sick on, I think, it was Steven Lorenz.
My favorite body check as a defenseman is to reverse hit. They come in, they think you're not looking. You look out the top of your visor or whatever, or just pretend you don't see them and give them that pop. That's the best feeling in the world, and Klev's one of the best at it.
That's awesome. Were you in the building for the playoffs?
I was at game 3, I think it was. So I was at one game. What an atmosphere! It was awesome. So can't wait to get them back in there because the city was awesome. The arena was great. They lost that one in overtime, but it was a great environment.
Yeah, the environment in Ottawa, second to none in the postseason. You're also in the building a couple weeks ago, Coach. Development camp. What was your takeaway from seeing the prospects in such a short period too? I think it was only 2 on-ice sessions.
Yeah, it was quick. It was really quick, and I think they're honing in on what they want these guys to do, and it's a whirlwind week for those guys at the draft and the decentralized draft and all that nonsense. So it was good to see the guys, see some of the guys that have been there a few years now, the college guys you don't get to see, that they're turning into men. They've put some weight on. They're bigger. They're more confident. They know what to expect. See the young guys that just got drafted with their eyes wide open, Claude Giroux running around in the dressing room. I think his signing was announced that week. So he's there just to see the guys interact with Claude and stars in their eyes. It was a good week, or a quick week for those guys, and touch base with some guys that, are going to compete in Belleville. So it was good. It was a good week.
How similar do you run dev camp to how you run your team in Belleville? Like, is that a whole different approach when you're like, all right, these are younger guys, these are prospects, we're more trying to see what they got, like, or are you taking a lot of what you do in Belleville and putting those players through those drills and those kinds of things?
It's more dev camps for me, and I think for the organization, I was leaning more towards as quick as we possibly can, recognizing ultimately the weaknesses of our prospects and what they need to do. So I think the development staff did a good job this year to run things and run, whether it was a skating practice or a compete practice, to recognize, the player X needs to work on his skating, player B needs to work on his strength, player C needs to work on his shot, so that they can right away get at that for the rest of the summer. So it's not systematic stuff. It's not, because none of them are going to play in our system this year. They're going back to college or junior. So it was just really breaking down the skill set of all the prospects we have and what they need to do to get better, bigger, stronger, to when they do come to our organization, they're a better hockey player, a better athlete. So it's not a lot of systematic stuff. It's more breaking down the individual and what they're all about.
You think some of those prospects can get bigger? I mean, the blue line in particular is ridiculous.
Yeah, there's some big dudes out there. So I think the food budget has to go up in the next couple of years here. The equipment budget has to go up. We got to get
doors need to be elevated.
Yeah, the extended sticks that the Chara sticks. Got to get that league exemption to get longer sticks for some of these guys. But no, there's a lot of good pieces coming through the wave here, like in all the positions. Like even some of these goalies are humongous, and these like they've done a great job. Donnie Boyd and the staff there of drafting all the different dynamics of guys. We had some guys that invites at camp and smallish guys, but they were just buzzing around out there. So they kind of hit all the areas. They've done a great job.
Nice. Final question for me, Bellzy. Really appreciate your time. Man, you're going into your 22nd year behind a bench. Ooh. What would you tell Owen Sound Attack assistant coach Dave Bell from back in 2004? What would he tell him about the journey you've been on here?
Oh my God, what a question.
Let's go. Save the hardball for last.
What a question. Geez, don't be so stubborn. Learn from everybody you meet, ask more questions. Definitely not the smartest guy in the room, and you're never going to be. So just keep asking questions and keep learning, I think, is probably the best thing. That's a great question.
Thank you. Clearly you got the passion for it, though. I mean, what a journey. Owen Sound to Springfield to Barrie. We talked to you the first time you were on about your experience with the Quad City Mallards. I feel like we could do a whole episode on that season in particular. Then you go to Sudbury, Niagara, then the Ontario Reign, and you've been with the Belleville Sens since 2019. So it's been quite the journey. We love having you on the show. We really appreciate it. Pillsy, any final question for you?
Yeah, I got one more.
Good luck beating that, bro.
Oh, yeah. Good luck with this.
Yeah. What would young Coach Bellzy tell Coach Bellzy now about coaching? I mean, you can answer that if you have an idea, but that was mostly a joke.
No.
Yeah, no, I got nothing, guys. I learn more every year. As you know, what the players say, they learn more. Like the way I coached my first year in Owen Sound 20 years ago. Certainly couldn't coach that way now. Guys are changing. The style is changing. Society's changing. And just to change with it, try to stay young with the guys. I can't talk the lingo with them. I can't text with them. I don't know all the short forms. I don't know the music, but they're a blast. They're super motivated guys, and it's just a love to watch. Like you guys said, like to see Kleven do what he did and Leevi do that's so rewarding for me as a coach. That's what keeps you going. Who's going to be the next guy, and who can you help be the next guy? Is just the motivation that it is.
Hills, you know who was on his team his first year as assistant coach? He had Bobby Ryan and Paul Bissonnette on his team in the OHL.
What a combo.
We had the Biz Nasty on the team. Yeah, that's the trivia question. Who was drafted before? When was Bobby Ryan drafted?
I know the answer to that.
I don't know.
What position? Number two, behind who?
Sid
the Kid.
Yeah, it was in a hotel in Ottawa. It was at the Chateau Laurier.
I had Bobby that year. We had the Biz. We had a kid named Robin Big Snake. Look that guy up. That's a whole podcast. No, we had some Belleville guy, Brad Richardson. We had some good players.
And
Andre Sekera.
Yeah.
Biz was playing defense at that point, right?
I had Biz, the Mexican jumping bean. Yep.
Did you know
He was an all-star?
Was he actually?
He was an all-star. He was a good player. He was a good player back then.
Did you think he'd have more? Did you think he'd have more Instagram followers than games played in pro hockey?
Guys, Instagram wasn't even a thing back then. We didn't know that. Who would have known?
Wow, crazy!
That's how old I am. That's how old Biz is.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, don't sell yourself short there. You're just still learning.
I'm getting too old when guys like that, like Bobby's retired. Brad Richardson had a great career. He's retired. Sekera's retired. So, you're getting up there when the guys you had in junior have had an unbelievable NHL career and they're now retired from the NHL. It's been a pretty good run.
Wait, have you coached any dads and kids yet?
Great question, Bill.
Thank you.
Oh, no, not yet. Not yet. It's getting close, I think. But I know there's some kids playing in the OHL and stuff so I'm getting close. Not yet, though.
Yeah. Well,
that'll be it.
Yeah. You've also coached Oscar Pettersson, who's 21 years old, right? So, hey, we can talk about the old school guys you've had, but hey, you're still doing it and still doing a great job. We look forward to seeing you guys in Belleville. It's spent a lot of money for some big name vets down there on two-way deals. So, we're excited to see you guys make a push here, get in the playoffs, and you keep doing your thing, man. We really appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Hey, no screen time on your vacation, okay?
Absolutely not. Leaving the phone at home. No screen time for me, boys. But you guys enjoy your summer. Enjoy the kids. Enjoy the new wives. Enjoy everything.
All right, Bellzy. Shout out to Dave Bell for joining us. Really looking forward to seeing what the Belleville Sens have in store next season. And shout out to Footy for hooking that up. Bellzy, any comment on your second place finish in Friday's Ring of Honor?
1% off. I thought I had it here. I think, Ross, the bigger story is this the first time in Ring of Honor history that a team with Alfie on the graphic has finished third?
That's a great question. Hey, I took a swing with Marty St. Louis. I had a lot of people say that he should have been a first-round pick.
Yep.
But ultimately, the numbers don't lie, and I finished last with 28% of the voting. Still not like completely dominant.
Yep.
I still think it was great. We haven't had a majority winner yet of somebody getting over 50% of the votes. Heck, I don't think anyone's got over 40% of the votes yet. So it's a competitive season of Ring of Honor. And this Friday, we're going to do Cult Heroes. I think that one's going to be fun because it's a positive one.
Yes.
And we've started this Ring of Honor season with some doldrums, couple of Saturn topics, Sens that got away, and the biggest draft misses in franchise history. So I think it'll be good to get a little positivity flowing into a long weekend.
Well, and another one, Ross, where the parameters are not exactly black and white. Your interpretation of what a cult hero is, first off, and who can be applied as a cult hero, that's going to get contentious, I think. And I can already see your brain turning, Ross, and all the little loopholes you're going to find to try to throw us off here.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that on Friday. We'll have another great interview for you on Wednesday. We got a few in the bank. So, like, part of me wants to just tweet out the day before, be like, who do you want to hear from? But that would spoil the surprise.
And just have the running list of all the banked interviews we have.
Yeah.
This is probably the off season with the most interviews we've ever done, which is awesome. It's so great that during the off season, players, coaches, everyone is willing to give us our time, and management as well, and you guys listening. We always appreciate any time you give to our content.
Yes, and we are doing this sometimes pre-recorded, but hopefully you guys can't tell a whole lot. Billzy was out in PEI last weekend. I'm heading to Ottawa on Saturday. So nice of Civic. It's just a civic holiday, but I get a holiday on my birthday every year. But
me too.
If you think, St. Patty's Day. A little different.
Yeah. There isn't like a government day off.
And mine's just like a cottage weekend.
Yeah, the weather's a little better for yours. I'll hat tip you take the edge there.
Yeah, exactly. And if you think that there's not going to be a show on Monday, you are out of control. We will have an episode for you on the long weekend Monday. If you want to save it for your Tuesday commute, whatever the case is, of course, it will always be available wherever you get your podcast. Bellzy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Final thoughts for me is, like you mentioned, I just got back from PEI. Man, East Coasters are the best. I'm always blown away by how nice everyone is. And I might not eat lobster for another year. I had lobster for pretty much every single meal. Lobster roll, lobster thermidor, lobster taco, just straight up lobster, dip it in butter. Incredible. The food out there is amazing. The people are amazing. So I'm a big East Coast guy, Ross. This is a new thing for me. I've been my whole life a West Coast guy, but East Coast is really making me think about what coast my loyalty lies in, even though I'm an Ontario guy born and raised.
Yeah, I mean, the time zones either way can get a little sticky. But for hockey season, when I was living in Halifax, like those games start at 11:30 p.m. are a little tough. Great for the bar, though. Like you got live hockey on at the bar often on the weekends, but it's a little tough having to wait for 8 or 8:30, even for the games that are in Ottawa. But sneaky nice that Halifax is Sens region on TSN, believe it or not.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah. So this was my East Coast trip. I'm going all the way west in a couple of weeks to Tofino. So
nice. I'm going all the way east. Let's go. I'm excited for this. It's going to be a great summer, but we will, of course, still have episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Ring of Honor Fridays here on LOSP. If you have Ring of Honor ideas, we've been keeping track in the comments, some great and some okay, but there's no such thing as a bad idea. So throw in your Ring of Honor topics, and we will get to those that we see as contentious. For today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.